Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we're looking at the January 2022 paper 2. January 2022 paper 2. Before we jump into it, let me just give a special shout out to those who sent this paper via email. Much appreciated. The community thanks you, and so we'll try and get it done. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, share the content so that you can help your friends do better at their CXC exam. So again, special thanks to those for sharing their past papers. For those out there, we're looking for past papers still for other subjects that we are doing on this channel. So if you have any paper ones for 2022 January, anything like that, feel free to share. Okay, good. So let's just jump into question 1 today. Question 1 says, Jane studied principles of business while attending high school and was inspired to own and operate a business in her community. State 4 reasons why Jane would want to establish her own business. 4 reasons why Jane would want to establish her own business. And of course, the saying state, so we don't need a big explanation for this one. 4 marks, 1 mark each. So if we jump into our textbook, we see a little bunch here. Reasons for starting a business. So we just list off the topics, the top part. Desire for financial independence, self-fulfillment, self-actualization, to increase their income, to control their working life. Right? So all those are reasons why persons would want to start their own business, right? Again, for financial independence, self-fulfillment, self-actualization, increase their income, and to control their work life. Simple as that. And that's 4 marks. Don't have to explain anything in this one. B. List 3 characteristics Jane would need to possess in order to become a successful entrepreneur. 3 characteristics. So in this one, we are looking at the characteristics or the qualities of an entrepreneur. And so again, they're asking us to simply list. Not explain, not outline, just list. So that's 1, 2, 3. And so we jump to our textbook again. All the answers in the textbook after all. And they say here, some personal traits and leadership qualities of a typical entrepreneur. Creative, innovative, flexible or adaptable, goal-oriented, persistence or perseverance, willingness or propensity to take calculated risk. So any of those would be characteristics of an entrepreneur. You have a whole lot here again. Goal-oriented, resourceful, observant, persistent, optimistic, highly motivated, responsible, flexible, proactive, propensity to take risk, industrious. So you see, all these are characteristics that you can use to answer that simple question when they're asking for just 3. So any of those 3, we're good to go. C. State 3 reasons why Jane should conduct a feasibility study prior to establishing her business. Feasibility study. And of course, again, we're going to look at our trusty textbook, conducting a feasibility study. So before you start a business, you need to carry out a market research to identify the level of demand. So that's 1 right there. Identify the level of demand for your product or service. It also helps to determine the viability of your good or service. It also helps to identify possible costs attached to that particular project, and also possible sources of finance you can use when you're ready to launch that particular business. So again, so you can help to identify level of demand, the viability, as in if it's possible or not, the possible costs attached to it, possible source of finance. Of course, also you might be able to identify your target market and things like that. So those 3, again, what they say here, what did they say? State, right? So you state in terms of sentences, 1 to 3 sentences. So you're looking at identify the level of demand for your product or service, the viability, that is how possible or how realistic it is to do this business, the cost that might be attached to the business, and the possibility of sources of finance for the business. Also, you may be able to identify your possible target market for that particular business. So you outline any of those 3 and you get your 3 marks again. Okay, so that's C. We're going good so far. D. State one role of any 2 stakeholders that will be involved in Jane's business. One role of any 2 stakeholders. So first and foremost, we have to look at what stakeholders are and what their roles are as it relates to the business. And so if we take a quick look at our textbook again, we see that stakeholders in business, a stakeholder may be defined as any individual, institution, group, or agency which have vested interest in how well a business performs. And so, of course, naturally we have the owners. So Jane herself is a stakeholder. Role is to provide financial capital to invest in the operation of the business, ensure that the business is being run efficiently. That's the owner. Then we have Jane is a small business. So she wouldn't have any board of directors. She might have a manager or supervisor, something like that. But she have employees. And so the duties of the employees is to perform their duties to ensure that the business continues to maximize profit and that their jobs remain secure. Right? So the employees, the role to perform duties to ensure that the business continues to maximize profit and their jobs remain secure. So you don't want any employees who are slacking off or anything like that. They have to do their work to make sure their job remains secure and to make sure that the company is maximizing profits. Other stakeholders includes, of course, the government. And so they have to ensure that the business operates within the scope of the law, or to ensure that they pay their taxes, to ensure that they protect the consumers. Of course, another stakeholder is the customers, of course. And the customer's role is to ensure that the products and services offered by the business are of good quality and are reasonably priced, to encourage competition among firms and influence product pricing. So consumers going to go out there and say, look here, I see this cheaper out there. So you might have to, think about what you're doing. Other stakeholders, suppliers, to provide business with the necessary raw materials to produce goods and services. So the suppliers. The community at large, to ensure the business within the community operates within the law and contribute towards the development of the community. Competitors can be stakeholders. They are there to stimulate competition and make you better, right? You want to be better than them, so that brings up your game. And of course, you have financial institutions, banks and things like that would help you with loans and those kind of things. So they only ask for what? They ask for, how much they ask for here? State one role of any 2. So any 2, you can use either the owner, the employees, the government, the customers, the suppliers, the lending institutions, the community, the competitors, and you outline just one role that they have. Just like that, question is answered. All right? Good. And the last part of question 1 asks us to explain 2 ways in which Jane's business could contribute to the social and economic development of her country. And so we jump to our textbook again, answers can done, answers for days, and we are looking at how enterprises and entrepreneurs can support economic development. Of course, after that, you can think of providing jobs, right? Employment, straight up. Employment is one, for sure. Then we have paying taxes, of course. That's another one. Of course, we are providing goods and services to the citizens. We also have those are the simpler ones. Those are the simpler ones you can easily use. Right? So contributing to nation building by, paying the taxes, things like that, help to reduce poverty, creating jobs, providing goods and services. And of course, in addition to all of this, they, as a company, can help with the overall development of the community by doing things like, sponsoring events and things like that. But all that comes under nation building. So if you want to, you can break out some of these things. So, for example, contributing to national building. So to say, providing incomes and employment, which helps to reduce levels of poverty. You want to go that far. You can look at training for workers and new and enhanced skills. You can go that far if you want to. I can just use the broad headings and explain it. For example, creating jobs. 1. Providing goods and services to satisfy citizens. 2. Nation building, such as paying the taxes, sponsoring this, sponsoring that kind of stuff, right? So it's up to you how you want to explain that one. Of course, they said the next one is collaborating. So entrepreneurs can work with organizations to create new business, expand others, and of course work with suppliers to, overall help the economy on a whole. For example, you might want to do some backward linkages, some forward linkages, collaborating with suppliers to help them to get their stuff off, right? For example, Jane, what kind of company is Jane again? Let me see. Jane is, so we did not say what type of company she is, but let's say she's doing like, a restaurant. She might want to help the community and the country by buying local, right? So collaborating with the suppliers, the local suppliers, right? So you can choose any of those answers, and you can finesse them and in a way to get your 6 marks, 3 marks each, right? So to me, easy ones would be job creation and providing goods and services. Or an easy one too is also nation building, where you can break it out to say pay taxes to help the economy, sponsorship to the community, to the country, that kind of stuff, right? So once you go down that route, you cannot go wrong answering this question. All right, so that's it for question 1. We're going to study it for now, and we're going to jump back in on question 2 later on, right? So you know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when question 2 comes up, and just share the content, right? Just share the content. Check out the website, check out the rest of the playlist, right? To see, some lectures and things like that. And, exams coming up just now, so get ready, be prepared, right? So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and stay tuned for the others.